G'day and welcome everyone to the first edition of Stage Door Australia. My name's Darryl Lovegrove and I'm coming to you from Sydney. And from Brisbane, this is my mate, James Lee.
Yeah, hi everybody. Darryl and I are thrilled to launch the Stage Door Australia channel today and create a voice of optimism and inspiration for our fabulous theatrical community. We're a special group of individuals who come together to tell our stories through words, song and dance. We do it as actors, singers, dancers, writers, directors, stage managers, makeup artists, sound operators, the list goes on. And our work is seen on that unique, powerful and wonderful platform we know as the stage.
We know the value we bring to our communities, our towns and our cities. But of course, we've learned over the last 8 months that perceived value isn't shared by the powers that be. And we know that this has been extremely disappointing for many of us. And of course, no doubt, we've lost some extraordinary talent for good. Which is why James and I have created this vlog to hopefully serve as a reminder or a beacon of hope that we need to remain hopeful at this unprecedented time. And look, there is good news out there.
Across the country, we're starting to see various productions take place once again, which is great news. Of course, it means in a very different environment than we used to, but producers, theatre owners and the cast and crews of particular shows are coming up with innovative ways of adhering to government restrictions, and the results are fascinating. We're going to look at one in particular in this episode tonight.
But before we do that, we want to introduce you to our extended team of fabulous people situated all around the world who are going to continually provide updates of what is happening in all things theatre in their neck of the woods. James, tell them who we got.
We are so lucky to have some amazing theatre friends joining us today from New Zealand and the United Kingdom, and in future episodes from Melbourne and New York City. Just take a look at this.
Hi friends, so Wendy Purdy here, checking in, coming into London town for the first time in, I can't remember, longer than the COVID-19. But here is where I'm supposed to be, at the Adelphi Theatre, and I'm clearly not. So they're setting up for Back to the Future for next year, which is great. But Hello Dolly is not here, which is where we're supposed to be at the moment, doing our performances with packed houses. But obviously not happening.
Everyone, my name is Hayden T, coming to you here from, well look, we're in Gore, New Zealand right now. We're on a tour called The Shows Must Go On, a different city every night. So tomorrow we head to Queenstown. I just want to come in and say here, reporting from New Zealand for Stage Door, we are keeping theatre going and we are keeping everything open and we are keeping things on the move. And that's our 20 minutes to beginners. So I just wanted to say, ngā mihi from me and all of us here in New Zealand. Mwah, much aroha.
And of course, James will be able to give us news from Brisbane, and I'll keep my eye on what's happening here in Sydney. And as I said, there is good news as we look at a post-COVID environment here in Australia. For instance, the Sydney Theatre Company has recently opened with Woolloongata, as well as the Sydney Belvoir Theatre's companies opening up again with Room of One's Own.
Both Pippin and Frozen have begun rehearsals in Sydney for their openings later in the year, which is amazing news. Here in Brisbane, QPAC, Boite, Queensland Theatre Company and the Powerhouse have all reopened with social distancing rules in place. Check out their websites, which are linked below.
In August, believe it or not, I actually saw a play here in Sydney. Now really, it was the Credo Canvas by Keith Boonen, produced by Lambert House Enterprises. It opened way back in late July and is only just recently closed. I popped along to see how they did it in this period of COVID restrictions. So I'm standing here at the Al Rocco Room in King's Cross, and we're only about literally 100 metres from the Coca-Cola sign, so it's just 1 block away. And this is not an area you'd usually think of as a theatre, but there's real theatre been going on here, and it's of course the Credo Canvas. And we're going to go inside and meet some of the cast who are going to give us a bit of a perspective of what it's like to be in a play at the time of COVID.
But because of the pandemic, I think a lot of venues have not been able to operate simply because they're too big. We've got too many overheads, the expenses are too much. So smaller venues like this are a godsend, because they're really the only place you can perform and it still be viable for everybody involved.
We had every intention of opening it in early May, and we were just doing early readings of it and talking about the fact that we're going to do a very different version of it to what had been done before, and then COVID came along, and so we thought the best way to get the thing going would be to do Zoom rehearsals. And so we actually rehearsed it on Zoom for 6 days a week, or 6 nights a week, over 8 weeks.
Zoom rehearsals, wow. What an interesting and unique set of circumstances they were. This almost endless opportunity to work on the dialogue and to really hone that craft. So when we got into the room, we were so adept at that side of things, and so clueless about where everyone's bodies had to go and the physicality of the theatre.
Being at home was weird, and there was lots of distractions with family, and so that was always fun. But I think, as Les said before, it really helped with digging into all the deep parts of the play and talking about the body of the text.
Honestly, I loved doing all the rehearsals on Zoom, because it was awesome, especially for that beginning bits. Where you could really nut out the dialogue, and you didn't have to leave your home.
We had a lot of time to discuss the intimate details of every single aspect of the character, every single aspect of all the different things that happened within the context of the play.
And so it was kind of nice to come into a rehearsal room and not have to tell any of the actors anything about their own characters, because it was so detailed and so fleshed out. But then how do these characters relate to one another, and how does the drama ensue on stage, because it had been learnt in a sphere where you can't really get that connection because of the delay and because of lag and pixelation and all that.
I think the challenge for both he and I were to sort of loosen it up and juice it up so it made it into a piece of theatre, because Zoom can sometimes take the life out of something when people are doing virtual stuff all the time, and you notice it. We had to convince people to come, and that what we're doing was safe, and we're still doing that. And I still think we're finding some people are very nervous about coming, but we're getting good audiences within the fact that we're only allowed 24 people a night. But the best thing that ever happened was we got a wonderful review in the Sydney Morning Herald, and the reviewer said it's safer than a supermarket, and that helped enormously, because we were giving them masks, we're hand washing, all that sort of thing.
Interesting experience. Basically, Les and I talked extensively about how we could get this happening and how we can have our audiences feeling safe, and that's our main priority in this time. So I went away and researched how other countries have managed to do it. So South Korea has managed to do Phantom of the Opera, Cats is starting there soon, and Taiwan have also had productions happening. So I looked at how the front of house was operating, and basically everyone is given a mask, everyone's temperature is checked, they take the details of everyone, obviously hand sanitizer is everywhere, and obviously cleaning the venue, cleaning the chairs, making sure that nothing would spread.
And then I actually didn't think this was ever going to come to fruition. I really didn't think that was part of my brief, really. I thought it was going to be a nice camera moment on Zoom. Then we're in the room, and all of a sudden we're in front of lights again, which is it really is amazing to get back under lights.
Tell us about the challenges you've been facing.
Weirdly enough, the challenges haven't been as great as I thought. When the audiences come in, they're actually quite accepting of the masks, and some of them are bringing in their own custom ones, and I've seen some very nice designs. But everyone's just being really respectful of the cast, the roles we've laid out, and ultimately they've been keeping safe in the space and just making sure they can do what they can while seeing an amazing show.
We're all grateful for the opportunity that was been given to us, and we just hope the industry can start back up and all these beautiful performers can get out and start performing again.
Our London correspondent, Wendy Purdy, was actually supposed to be performing in the West End revival of Hello Dolly, but became a casualty of forced cancellations. She recently sent us this.
Hello friends, Wendy Purdy here, London correspondent, coming at you from King George's Park. Last night I attended an event at Andrew Lloyd Webber's Palladium Theatre. It's a very large theatre and there are a lot of people there. So social distancing measures seem to be inside but not outside. People were queued up back to back. Some people didn't have masks on, but going into the theatre, bag checks were done one at a time, and then you had your temperature checked as you went into the theatre via a machine. I purposely booked the back row of the stalls and the final seat so that I could get up and leave if there were any problems, but unfortunately there was only one seat next to me vacant and then the next patron. Some people had 2 seats, then the next patrons, some people had 1. So the theatre was quite full, and a bit full for my liking. I felt slightly uncomfortable. I looked at my new NHS app, which is for England and Wales, and unfortunately, unless everyone's downloaded the app, it's not going to work. So whilst a hugely successful event, as I said, it was very, very crowded. Outside was a little bit of a chaos. People were supposed to come in allotted time slots and they didn't. But inside there were a lot of people. I would have hated to have been in the middle of the theatre. But in saying that, it's great that the theatre was open. Nimax theatres are going to open 6 theatres in the West End shortly, and then productions will start rehearsals early next year to open maybe probably spring next year. So we'll wait and see how that goes. Signing off from London.
Okay, so that's our first kind of introductory episode of Stage Door Australia. If you'd like us to keep going, please click the subscribe button below. Leave a comment and share the hell out of it with bloody everybody. We'd love to bring more stories from here and around the world.
Yeah, thanks again to all our correspondents. And as Daryl said, please hit the subscribe button below. Also, a reminder that all shows talked about in this episode are linked below as well. Let us know the type of content you'd like to see and maybe some suggestions on who we should be talking to. Thanks again for taking your time. Shine on. See you soon. Mwah!
See ya.